Hello, everybody, and welcome to 3 Keys to Building Up Your Courage. My name is Alana Heim, and I will be your guide today on this Quantum Alignment show. And you should be able to see the slides. I know Cindy said she could see them. So today I want to go over a few different things related to building your courage. So we are going to go over assessing yourself with the Resiliency Key of Courage, learning why the wealthy manifest quickly, and so you can do this too. We're going to also go into understanding this knowing-doing gap, right? There's this part of us that knows what we want to do and what we should do, and sometimes taking action and having that courage to take action is where we stumble. So we're also going to talk just more about the human design chart and transmuting the fear into more courage, and then identifying a hack that you can start using to build more courage in your life today. So really, I want you to just be thinking about courage and thinking about where you are this time on the planet, and that we're starting to build up that courage and change your vibration. My name's Alana Heim, and my business is Prosperity Alignment. So I am a quantum alignment level 3 practitioner and a human design specialist level 4. I have been using human design in my business. My business will be 4 years this year. So it's a 4-year, 2020. There's lots of clarity coming in. I'm pretty excited. This is a 4-year for me as well in my business. And what I love is integrating human design with the financial aspects. So you'll see I'm also listed here that I'm a certified public accountant and a certified financial planner. What I love is seeing who you are. And we all know there are things we want in this world. And sometimes we don't always believe we have the courage or the ability to go after it. And so especially when it comes to finance, right, and manifesting more of what we want, this is a 4-year where it's very foundational. It's time for us to really set the groundwork for where we want to go in this physical world and to manifest. And so what's really fun is the big thing that my family and I have endeavored this year. As you'll see this picture of me and my children and my husband. I have 2 generator twins who will be 6. I have a projector daughter who is 11, and my husband and I are both projectors. So we've endeavored to be more physical this year, and it's something that when I reflect back in universal 4 years, I tend to become more physical. So we are doing jujitsu. Now, there's a lot of courage that's needed to get on the floor with another adult, another person, another man, and to be in their space and to grapple, right? So there's a lot of the fear that I was feeling, and my mind was immediately saying, I can't do this. I don't want to do this, right? Like, you're in my space. This doesn't feel comfortable. And because I could feel that paradigm and feel that energy of, I don't want to do this, made me realize that I need to lean in and have the courage to do it anyway. And what I'm finding is I would hold myself back. And because I do have the will center, I have this ability to push. And I also have this ability to hold back and let others' fears take over, right? I have an undefined spleen. And I would hold myself back, not only in jiu-jitsu, but in other aspects in my life. Right? That I don't want to push too hard. I don't want to be too big. I'm this projector who's supposed to be softer or not pushy, right? I can't initiate. All of these things that we tell ourselves that we can't do. And what I'm finding is when it's time to go and grapple, and jiu-jitsu is all about throwing or like being on the ground and maybe you're choking someone. There's not kicking, there's not punching, it's not violent. It's about you really learning how to get away and to get people to stop. And so it's pushing me, it's pushing my family. And I'm realizing on an unconscious level, I have instinct that I didn't know existed. And I would never know that I have this courage and this ability to take action and move into action had I not pushed myself. And so that's where I really want you to be thinking about, where are you holding yourself back and potentially not allowing this courage to come through you, whatever your energy type, because we all have this ability to really step in the arena and be vulnerable, be who we are, and have more of what we want. So this first key that I want to go into is about assessing your courage. So we know in the human design chart that fear lives here in the spleen center. And so this is where we have this natural instinct, right? I have this new instinct I didn't quite know was there to just make sure that I am not going to be pinned and I will do whatever it takes to get out from under the person, things that I don't even consciously know that I know, but clearly I have ingrained in me. So this instinct that will come through, and this is where you'll get that gut instinct, and sometimes it's fear, and sometimes you're going to run, or maybe you're going to freeze, whatever that might be. You get to help your body understand and process through this center. So we do have the physical body and health and well-being that lives here, as well as a sense of timing and this awareness that comes in the moment. So we look at this fear center and we talk about these 7 fear gates. And I want to preface that these fear gates, when we're going around the mandala, they each get activated all at the same time over a 6-week period. So that's coming up in March 24th through May 2nd. And that means we're going to be going through Aries, which is more of an action-taking season, which is really perfect for where you might be if you haven't been taking action or you've been afraid, that we can start to really move forward. And then also going through Taurus, which can be more of that stabilizing after it's really intense, so we get to kind of become more grounded and stable ourselves. So these 7 gates I have listed in order as they're going to be transiting. And we have the Earth that will be activating these. So the gate 18, usually we're looking at it in the lens of fear. So this fear of imperfection. And I'll talk more about the higher expression in a little bit, but for now I wanted to kind of focus right now just on this fear piece and how this can play into your courage. The gate 48 over here is the fear of inadequacy. We've got the gate 57, fear of the future. The 32, fear of failing. The gate 50, the failing of others, or maybe you feel like you're going to fail your responsibility or let people down. This gate 28 is fear of life having no meaning, no purpose, maybe even a little bit of fear of death coming up. And then the 44 is this fear of the past. So we have all these different fears that when it's transiting may be coming up, right? It may be pushing on you. And this is where you get to feel the fear and move past it, right? Fear is just in the moment. It's part of that spleen. So it's just that instinct that you get, and you get to always change how you take action based on what you're feeling. So Karen has created the 9 resiliency keys, and she's talked about this. And courage is one of these keys. So in human design, we are looking at how resilient are you? And where is fear potentially keeping you from fulfilling your joy, living according to who you are, being courageous enough to step out and take the action that you're meant to create in the world? So to go a little deeper, when you're looking at the chart, we've got these 4 centers: the identity center, we've got the spleen, we've got the sacral, and we've got the solar plexus. So courage shows up in these centers, whether you have it defined or undefined, because in reality, we're all conditioned. Doesn't matter if you have that colored in and defined or undefined. So there's this level of, if you've lived in fear or let fear control, right, then that's kind of the emotional impact that's going to come up. There's going to be lots of fear. There's going to be lots of even confusion and this inability to move forward and take action. And potentially these fears are holding you back from doing what you want to be doing. So this is where I'll also be talking to you in a little bit about how sometimes we know we should be doing something, but then we don't always do it. And that can get really frustrating. So no matter what energy type you are, right, you may feel the frustration even if you're not a generator. You might be frustrated just with yourself and beat yourself up and start telling yourself certain things about why you're not so courageous, or you think you don't have the courage to do something, when really we all do. We are deeply courageous. The spiritual impact with this resiliency key is sometimes we're saying things like, I'm not trusting God, and I don't have the faith. I don't believe I'm supported. And that can really keep us in this lower vibration of fear. So assessment statements or even some affirmations, right? The reason we love affirmations is because we're ultimately telling ourselves and our conscious mind, and we're wanting it to be repetitive enough that we begin to start to believe it, and it changes our subconscious behavior to begin to take action according to these new beliefs. So I am courageous. I trust that I am protected. I take leaps of faith. I move through challenge gracefully, right? And sometimes we can laugh at this and think, I don't do that. And that's okay, right? You're getting awareness around what's coming up for you with this resiliency key. So one of the things that I like to do is when I'm working with clients, I have a way to kind of rate them or allow them to assess themselves on a scale of 0 to 10, although the scale can be changed, right? Maybe that's not big enough and you want it to go negative, or you want it to go positive in a different way. I want you right now to just take a moment, and based on your energy type, so I have it listed here. If you're a generator or a manifesting generator, then you're going to ask this as more of a yes/no question. And so normally the way I ask this for my clients is I will say, so for all of you generators, do you struggle with having courage? Now, depending on how in tune you are with your sacral and listening to your response, right? It may have been if you're really listening correctly and using the sounds. If you're really not courageous and you don't struggle with that, it may have been an So depending on the scale, you get to now play with, okay, are you a 3? And listen, are you a 3? Maybe an Sometimes it's an I have clients that sometimes when I say a 4, it's still a and a 5 until a 6 right? So you get to play with how your sacral works for you to hone in on the scale and the number that you're feeling right now on your level of courage. So for those of you who are projectors or manifestors, well, projectors or reflectors, we can just switch this to be more of an open-ended question to say, I'm wondering if you struggle with having courage. Now, for me, being a projector, muscle testing is really a great way that I have worked with. It's a way for me to get more of an instant answer. So I'm wondering if I struggle with having courage. Am I a 5? Am I a 6? Am I a 7? Am I an 8? I'm an 8. It's pretty strong. So that's how I know how to use that. If you're a manifester, because you do like statements that are more direct, you can pretty much just read this statement. I struggle with having courage. I'm always courageous. This is kind of the polarity of each side to know. This is more the 0. This is more the 10. And where do you fall in the middle, right? So I hope that's helpful. And I don't know if anyone has posted where they are, but feel free to share either in the Zoom room or on Facebook. So I have some other questions, courage questions for you to consider. And again, depending on your energy type, how you want to answer that, right? Or how to ask the question. So again, if you're a generator type, do you have the courage to, so we can make sure these questions are yes, no, so you and your sacral can really engage. And if you are more of an open sacral type, I'm wondering if you have the courage to. And so these are the questions where a lot of times we don't always think about asking for what we want. We kind of know what we want, but maybe there's some hesitation, there's some fear holding us back from being courageous to say, yeah, I can and I do ask for what I want. There's a couple people that say a 6 out of 10. I felt like a 5 with the yes, no. Okay, so yeah, so this is something you get to play with. I don't know where you are if you have an emotional wave. And what I also like to caution is depending on where you are in your wave, come back, reassess. Maybe you're in the bottom of your wave or the top, but you're going to want to make sure that you come back and re-ask the question and gauge to see if you have the same rating at the top and the bottom of your wave. So some other questions about having the courage to follow your strategy, right? We're here to know ourselves using human design. And the basics, right? The foundation of this level 4 or this number 4 year, it's about foundation and basics. So even going back to basics for human design, are you following strategy? And are you listening to your authority? Because those are always going to help you be more in alignment with having the courage and sharing the courage and feeling courageous, because you're already in tune with the universal flow, and all of that flow of abundance is coming into you to help support you. Are you aligning with your design? Do you have the courage to be seen as the infinite soul that you are, right? We are so much bigger than we think we are, and especially being in this body. So even for me doing jujitsu, right, there's a part of me that knows I can push harder and I can be more competitive, or I also know that there were times people would be intimidated by me, and I've been told that. And I could feel that old pattern, that old fear coming up. And I had to really say to myself, it's not about what I think they think. It's about who I am and me doing what's best for me. And so when the fear came up that the other moms aren't going to be my partner and they're not going to want to grapple with me, and then they stopped coming to class, I had to really endure some of that, some of those beliefs and thinking that I needed to not push so hard. And then I stopped myself and realized that was my mind chatter. And that if I really am here to be who I am, it's not about holding myself back and playing small. It's about learning for me to be my best self and help others to do the same. So guess what? If there's no other moms, I'm grappling with my 260-pound husband. And if I can grapple with him and learn to roll him and get him off of me, then really I'm going to be able to do that with anybody. And so if I'm partnering with other men, I'm going to learn much faster. And so there's that part of me that came out to realize I can push myself or push others away or think that I'm the one who is not being courageous and starting to be timid. But it's about building our own courage so that we can get out and be who we are and to be seen for who we are, to do something new, right? I've never done jujitsu. It is something completely new. And is it getting me out of my comfort zone? Absolutely. Because again, my mind immediately wanted to dismiss it and say, no, we're not going to do this. But the more I realized that and could have that awareness, the more I knew I needed to do it. And because I have a split, it really is a great way for me to dance and be more in my emotional willpower energy versus being in my head. And I get to feel the dance between. And that's really helping me to understand myself in a totally different way than I ever thought was the whole point of trying something new, right? Do you have the courage to remove what no longer serves you and to trust you are supported, to stand up for yourself, right? There's so many times we fear speaking up and we don't say the things that we need to either stand up for ourselves or someone else. Sometimes we don't feel like we have the courage to earn money and to commit to taking this action, whatever that looks like, that's going to get us to what we want. And usually when it comes to manifesting, we have to be very clear. We've got to ask for what we want. We need to know what it is. And then we have to commit to really following through, listening to following the strategy and then listening to our authority to make sure that we get there. And I'll talk a little bit more about the manifesting process and some of these different pieces, because this is really the fun part, weaving all of this in, being courageous, and I'll tell you more about my Courage to Thrive program at the end. So this key number 2 is knowing what gets in the way, right? So now we have an idea of the courage piece, but fear really gets in the way. right? And we already look at the spleen center, and typically we're always talking about it in that lower vibration of it being fear-based. And we can look around the world and we can feel the fear. And it's in everything, right? Everybody's afraid. Everything is afraid. And sometimes it keeps us in that lower vibration, which is not going to be helpful. It's clearly going to get in the way of us building up our courage. So I want you to know, as I mentioned, that fear comes around, and every year, twice a year, in the spring, right now we're going to have the earth activating these energies coming March 24th through May 2nd. And then when the mandala is going to continue around, right? And the earth and the sun are always paired together. So as the earth continues to move around, this is how we feel or can kind of know that if when the earth is down here, that means the sun's going to be over here in the fear gates. So that happens again in the fall. So we have a few different planets this year that will be activating and going through these 7 energy gates. So the sun will come back around in September on the 27th through November 4th. And then Mercury will be right in that same time frame from September 8th through November 20th. And then the last one we have is Venus, which will be going October 31st through December 1st. The reason Mercury is so long is because there's a retrograde in there. So again, when we sometimes freak out about Mercury retrograde, as we are currently feeling right now, it will also be occurring in these energies later in the fall. So when we're thinking about these gates being activated, right, we can immediately go to the fear and go, oh my gosh, fear is going to be coming up. Like, what's going to be happening for me individually, within my tribe, and within the collective? But again, this is just one aspect of fear being this low vibration, but we don't have to live here. We have free will. We have the choice. And I want you to just see that courage is twice the vibration, that we're moving upward. And every time we're continually working on ourselves to raise our vibration, we're doing that for the planet and for the collective consciousness. We're helping ourselves and we're helping each other. And the more we can really step up above fear, the more we're in a totally different place to be able to see new possibility, to manifest more of what we want. And because this is a 4-year, where manifestation is becoming easier and it's very key, I want you to be focusing on what you want. Because the more of what you want, you're going to create. And if we remain in this lower vibration and we're afraid and we're thinking of all the things we don't want to happen, then potentially that's what we're also creating more of. So as you're shifting and we're all shifting, we're doing this together to help, to know that this gets in the way, this fear piece, but we can always transmute the energy into courage or more love or whatever higher vibrational energy you really want to experience. So the law of polarity is a really great thing to understand, but we tend to see it in the way of it gets in the way, right? Everything is dual. There's such duality on this planet, and there's an opposite to everything. And sometimes we get so caught up on what we don't want, right? What are the things we're afraid of? What are the things we don't want in our life, that we forget that the blessing is on the other side, is more of what we want. So even in the way of relationships, and sometimes, and because it's February and the month of love and Valentine's Day, right? There's times when we think about all the things we don't want in a partner. And then we wonder why we keep perpetuating the cycle. But really the duality or this polarity is that you get to see, okay, I don't want somebody who doesn't have a job, but I want somebody who has a really good paying job, who is successful, or whatever you want that to look like. You're starting to understand that sometimes when we see things we don't like, it's giving us the sign of the opposite of what we do like. So the opposites are identical in nature. They're just different in degree. And so this is where we get to really kind of see all of these opposites that may be in the world, and up and down and in and out. And where do you want to be? Where do you want to use this to help you, benefit you, rather than seeing how it gets in the way. So the opposite of fear is courage, and the way we tend to look at it, right? Maybe we're cowardly, we're afraid. Well, if we don't want to be afraid, then what we do want is more courage or something of that level. I did want to put this in here because this is a really powerful point too. This Dr. Rollo May said, the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it's conformity. And that's something that's really, hopefully the Gate 61 can start to spark for people to become curious to think about this. But when we're in conformity, we're just going along and we're not being who we are. And you are designed to be who you are. And you're not designed to be like me or anybody else for this matter. And I have twins and I can see the glaring differences, even with them having the same energy, right? Their charts are the same. Their souls are different. There's other components that have come in through them that are different. The way they experience their highs and lows emotionally, very different. They are different. And I'm not here to parent and treat them the same, assuming they're the same, because they're not. So here's the piece where it takes courage to be unique and to be who you are and to be responsible for your life, to create whatever that looks like. And when we conform, we self-sacrifice and we give up who we are to try to fit in with the tribe or the collective. And we are all deeply individual. We're here to be different and not be put in a box. And the more that we're taking responsibility for who we are, right, this starts to then funnel into the rest of the world. This starts to funnel into our systems where so much we're taught to conform and just go to school or just get a job or just put money in the bank or in the 401k or buy a house. All these things that we kind of stop thinking about. Does this fit me? Is this what I want? Is this who I am? And sometimes we just kind of give away our power and our responsibility. We don't want to take ownership because we think, oh, I'll let you do that. And then when everything starts to implode or crumble or fall apart, we want to be upset and we want to blame. And the more responsibility you take for you, the more it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. And that's the big piece. As we're going through these shifts on the planet, I want you to go inward. I want you to find your courage, to know who you are, and to stand boldly and proudly being that person, right? It takes massive courage to show the world who you are. We've been taught to hide, and we can't do it anymore. It's exhausting. It's burning us out. So here's something that the wealthy know. They know what they want. And they've learned very early on, and when I say wealthy, I mean even elite. The things that we don't understand and don't know, but they are taught very early on about the energy and the higher vibration qualities that they want to maintain. So they don't dabble in the fear, in the doubt, right? They know what they want. They know they can have it. There is no question. They are steadfast in keeping their vibration and their courage high. It's what they're really good at, right? Their thoughts become their feelings. And then these feelings continue the manifestation process and it becomes their actions. And the actions are what become our results. So a lot of times we're fixated on the result, right? Even at a young age as kids, we go to school, we see the report card as if that's indicative of who we are and the potential. Although whatever we were tested on, did it really showcase you and who you are and your potential? Absolutely not. Maybe you had a bad day and the test result now shows. We tend to hold on to that result and let it dictate who we are. The wealthy don't do that. They know exactly what they want and they create from that place. And they begin to get more and more of the results because they're steadfast in holding to their courage and knowing what they want. And even in times of stress, they're enjoying life. Or they're not worrying, they're not doubting, they're not dealing with the fear, right? They're not where we tend to be because we're surrounded by all this fear. And it's curious when you start to see that the world dynamic is very much perpetuating fear, because the more the fear is lowering us, it's also lowering our potential. And I want you to recognize the potential's there, and so is the courage, and you get to tap into that. So coming back to this, just to show you again, right? They don't come down here. They don't dip, right? They know what they want. They stay up here. They're surrounded by people who also stay at a higher level. What happens often for us is we know what we want that, and all of a sudden we start doubting it. We go tell our family, hey, I'm going to start a business. I did this. Hey, I'm going to start a business. And immediately my dad's fear was all over the place. How are you going to get a client? How are you going to do this? How, right? All the doubt and worry. But luckily at that point for me, I knew I was steadfast. I had the courage and knew I can't keep being a CPA during tax season, right? It's tax season now. I don't have to deal with this anymore. I don't prepare the taxes. That was crushing my soul, and it was burning me out as a projector because it's not correct for me. And I had the courage to say absolutely not. And I never wavered. And that's where we all can be, where we don't dip down. We don't come back into the fear, that we stay up here. And if you have people who are fear-based and driven and bringing you down, it's okay for you to start pulling back. If you can't handle listening to the politics and the things that are already going on, I'm in Nevada where we're a caucus state, and it is caucus everywhere. And my husband had some of it on the other day, and I don't listen to this stuff. I don't follow it. It's not for me. And it was just so exhausting, like draining, and I could hear all of the lies, the deceit, the whatever that I'm better. It's not about that. And so for me, I finally had to just turn it off because I don't need that lower vibration, right? I'm here to continue to raise the vibration on this planet. And if that means cutting things out so that you can remain here, that's important. So that this doesn't get in the way. The toxic people, the things that aren't important to you, don't get in the way, but that you are truly focused on what it is you want and that you're going to go after it and get it. So the manifesting process, right? We know it all starts here. And just like I mentioned with the process for the wealthy, they know exactly what they want. They use the thought energy to put it out to the universe to say, this is what I want. They infuse it with the emotion to really believe and have this deep desire to create it. And they are on a more higher vibrational quality where it's not dipping down. And then when timing works out, maybe they follow strategy or the authority and you've listened and you really know what feels correct, you're going to be in alignment and you're going to move into action. And it's very natural. This is the part we stumble because we always want to make it difficult, and we sometimes think we have to figure out how we're going to do it instead of letting the universe bring it to us. So there's a knowing doing gap, right? We know what we should do, we know what we want, but we're not doing anything. And there's just this gap between us moving forward. So here's what I see that normally happens, right? You know what you want, and then you fear you can't have it. So you take zero action. And your thoughts become your feelings, and these fearful feelings stop you from taking action. So then there's zero action towards the goal that you really want, and then the results basically depict the fear, right? The results are not what you want, but that's what you have, and then we get really upset. So it's like we know what we should do, but we're just not doing it. And so I love this diagram. This is from Bob Proctor and how he teaches and really understanding the energy that the spiritual energy comes through into our intellect. And there's some process that happens before it drops into the physical aspect of us. So you choose your thoughts, right? You know what you want to create, and it's about the thoughts. And it's the thoughts that create the feelings. And then that's what moves you into action. So to kind of go back, right, it's the thoughts, the emotions, the action. It's a different way to really start to see through human design how this works for you, but to also look at how this works in the way of the mind, and the conscious mind being more this intellectual part, the emotional mind being more the subconscious part, and how the results come from taking action. So how do we close the gap, right? Follow your strategy and listen to your authority. And this is huge, right? I work with a lot of people who have splits. I have a split. So guess what? I'm primarily conditioned to think from my head, want to make decisions from my head. And I'm constantly telling people that we play ping pong with our head. All day long, we will debate. And if you have a split in some capacity where you are up here in your head in some way and you are not in your body, guess what? You are not in your body, which is where we take action. And our head, right, can debate all day long. So changing your thoughts, changing your feelings, you start to drop more into the body. The action's going to come from the body. So for all of you who are generator types, right? It is in your body. And the moment you start to then get out of the body and into the head, you stop yourself and you don't move and you don't take the action that you know you should. So you know you should, but then your head gets involved and it interrupts the whole process, right? So to change the courage, it's going to start in the mind. If you're telling yourself things where you're not courageous or that you doubt yourself or you're feeling confused or all of the fears coming up, right? That is going to infuse the feelings in your body. And you're going to feel the fear. You're going to feel the doubt. You're going to emotionalize and feel all of this lower vibration. And then that's going to affect the actions. So the more that we can work on changing the thoughts to tell yourself some of those affirmations or assessment statements, I am courageous, to really start to believe in yourself and what it is you want to create, you start creating more of those feelings. And you can visualize, right? The mind is really powerful because even where you are right now, you can still have your mind wander, right? If I'm talking too much and I'm losing you, you're off somewhere else thinking of something. You can have that same ability to create whatever it is that you need, that you want to see, that starts to bring in the feelings of what it's like to have. That now when you get something to respond to, or you get an invitation, or there's just something in the way of getting to follow your strategy and then listen to your authority, you move into action. And this becomes your new process. And these are the questions I ask you to start realizing in this capacity. Do you think you are courageous? Do you feel courageous, right? Do you feel in your body the courage? Or are you constricted and feeling kind of small? Or are you feeling more empowered and courageous, right? You can stand and take more of a stance or do something to help your body to really become engaged in the process and moving in that direction of energy. Do you take action with courage? Or are you wishy-washy, right? I work with a lot of people who have trouble listening to the authority, right? They don't know how to tap into their sacral. If they're emotional, they don't know how to ride the wave. They don't know to have the same response at the top and the bottom of the wave. There's all of these pieces that are really, really important to understand the basics, the foundation of human design of who you are. So you close this gap, but you're integrating the chart and you're living it, right? When we live the chart, it's who we are. We don't even have to think about it anymore. It becomes unconscious. And that's what I really want, is for you to begin to become unconscious and have this unconscious competence with being courageous. You just become more and more courageous. Are your results reflecting your courage? I put a picture here of Taylor. This is my daughter. She went, we did this last weekend. We went to meet with a friend and her 5 horses. And the thing about horses is they deeply are intuitive and they feel fear, right? So to be around a horse, you have to have courage and you have to be courageous to be who you are and not let the fear waver, right? Because they sense it and they'll be afraid and they're going to start kicking and they're going to get out of control. And to be around 5 horses, and sometimes when they're like running and doing certain things, right? It was just, I'm okay. I am safe. I'm good, right? Things that, and I was standing tall and my daughter was, there was no room for fear. And the more that we can see ourselves in the world living that way, the more we're teaching others to do the same. And we continue to raise the consciousness to help close this gap. So more and more we are integrating our chart. We're living according to who we are. And we aren't struggling with who we think we should be. We're here taking responsibility being our unique self, and that's what we need more of in the world. So I'll tell you more about my Courage to Thrive program in a little bit, because we'll be going through a lot of this stuff during the program. So key number 3 is choose a courageous story, right? It's about changing that vibration. We can tell a story, we can see the fear, we can feel the fear, or we can use the law of polarity to help us shift and to see it differently. So in that regard, looking at these 7 gates, where we call them the fear gates, I call them the courage gates, right? Because there's always a higher expression. There's a low and there's a high. And when you naturally begin to integrate and live according to your strategy and your authority, you are already moving into the higher expressions of the chart, of your design, and of these gates. So whether you have these defined or not, you're going to have been conditioned to feel them. Some of them may be more consistent in your life or inconsistent. But just because you're around people who are fearful, or you have certain gates and you've been told and maybe even taught that, oh, this is a fear gate and here's your fear. I want you to retell the story and to start to see the courageous aspects of these gates. And this is where courage is constantly keeping you moving up that spiral. Instead of staying in fear, that you are moving upward and you are changing that energy and using this law of polarity to really benefit you. So with looking at that gate 18, this is where sometimes we have this fear of imperfection. But the higher expression is there's great improvement. And although you want to strive towards perfection, you are constantly improving the process. And that's what we need more of in our world right now, right? We clearly are not getting it perfect. And we need to just scrap the idea of perfect. We just need something that works, right? We need improvement, which means we need people who can come in and give the feedback, following the energy, knowing that when you can share a little bit more and people are leaning in because they want to hear, they're going to receive it as feedback and that you're going to be improving this process. The gate 48 coming off the top here, this is that fear of inadequacy, where we can think we're not good enough or we don't know enough. And we're not going to take action if we're hesitant because we think we can't do it, right? But how can you begin to tap into the courage and to recognize the wisdom that you have? Because the fact that you want to go deeper and deeper into the depths of the well to really understand not only yourself, but source, and that when you can really start to see that the wisdom is infinite, which is who you are, and you can tap into infinite universal source power, and it's within you, you can go and leap and be courageous and take action and do what you need to do because you already have the wisdom. It's already there. You just got to trust that you can tap into it. The gate 57, off the center here, this individual piece, is the fear of the future, right? Well, we get afraid. I don't know what's going to come. The world seems crazy. It seems like things are having a shakeup and then a breakdown, and I don't know what's going to happen, right? We start to get really afraid. And often we already have had the intuition, and the higher expression in this courage is trusting your intuition. You may have already got a glimpse of the future. Sometimes we become afraid because we don't understand it. But really, how can you continue to trust and really lean into, yes, you have this intuition, and now you can use it to ready yourself, to prepare yourself, and ready and prepare others, right? It's not all doom and gloom. And when we trust that we are deeply supported and everything works out and it's for our higher good, there's nothing to fear. The 32, the gate 32, this is another tribal energy here that is all about fear of failing, like especially in business, because this is part of the business circuitry, that you're afraid to move forward because what if I fail? But here's the higher expression. You have the courage to endure. And the fact is, you won't ever let yourself fail because you will keep going. And when timing is right, you will move into action and you will do what is necessary, but only when timing is right. And anytime you've pushed and maybe then failed, it was because there was some other aspect coming up, not following your strategy, listening to your authority, waiting for right timing, right? Sometimes there's hesitancy because it's necessary until you're ready to pull the trigger, to take action, and you're going to endure. You're going to keep going. The gate 50, another tribal energy here, is fear of failing others. So fear of that failing others and your responsibility, maybe that you're going to let them down, maybe you take on too much responsibility and now you can't manage it. The higher expression, this courage, is to really know yourself and to set your values. Because when you align with what's important to you, you are so focused on that, and you're not going to take on responsibilities that have you failing. You're going to be focused. And when it comes to manifesting, we need to be focused. We need to know what it is that we want to create in the world. And the more that we're doing that, the more we are not going to take on more responsibility than we're able to, right? This is an individual gate, the gate 28, this fear of life having no meaning, no purpose, this struggle aspect. But this is the thing about courage and this higher expression, is there's tenacity here. And it's like, it doesn't matter if you think, yes, I want it to be easy, and it's always a journey and it's a long process. You are tenacious and you will not give up, and you will continue to fight for yourself, for individuality, for humanity. You will continue to move forward, and you will find meaning and purpose, and you will know what's worth living for. And so that is a really powerful, courageous way to live life, and to know that it's part of the journey. And that's how you find the blessings. The last one, the gate 44. So this is a tribal, another part of the business circuitry. This is fear of the past, right? And I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, well, I can't do that because I've already tried it before and it didn't work. And there's so much fear around the past. But here's the courage to really reflect on the past and to see, to be alert, because there's a keen alertness here where you know the pattern and you know what didn't work before, and you're not going to let it happen again. And you are going to switch it so that you ensure that you're going to have this success, or whatever that looks like. When you are alert, and because you are shifting every day, you're a different person. The person you are today, not the person you were even a week ago, a year ago, 10 years ago. And when we tend to reflect on the past, it's a long time ago. Guess what? If you didn't know your human design chart, and you didn't know your type, and now you do, there is absolutely no way you're going to repeat that same mistake. If you didn't get to express yourself and you let people push you back and you didn't have the courage to stand up, guess what? Now you know what needs to be tweaked. Now you know what needs to be done differently. And this is going to allow you to be more courageous. So I like this quote that Bob Proctor has. When a person refuses to accept responsibility for their life, they reject their uniqueness and they turn all of their power over to other people, situations, or circumstances. They are then no longer in control of their future. They will be hoping something good will happen, but because of past experiences, they will very likely be expecting something they do not want to happen. So this is really kind of bringing it full circle for other things that we've covered and talked about. But this is the key of choosing a courageous story. And although that's very powerful, let's edit and revise and make this more powerful and more courageous. So I've edited and taken out the negative, right? We live in a negative world. Everything we talk about is negative or tends to be more on that focus, more on that low vibe. So how can we rewrite this to be more empowering and change the verbiage, right? Rewrite this story to be more courageous. So I've made some edits here. So now let's look at what it says. When a person accepts responsibility for their life, they embrace their uniqueness and they claim all of their power. They are then in control of their future. They expect something good to happen, and because of good past experiences, they are very likely to receive something they do want to happen. So I edited that to make it even more powerful and impactful, to focus on the positive, this higher vibration, right? So I encourage you, as you're going through your life and you're starting to become more aware of your thoughts and your feelings and your actions, that you are starting to see the positivity and how you can rewrite the thoughts and rework them to feel your emotions, to really help yourself to be the unique you and to live in this higher vibrational place and to really help shift the world to do the same. So I want to give you a courageous hack. I love Ho'oponopono, and I have my clients use this, and I teach this in the Courage to Thrive program. I teach different hacks or different things to help you. And one of the things that really comes up is when we have bad thoughts or we have language that is not of higher vibrational quality or actions that are causing us harm in the world, right? We're essentially creating bad karma. Even when we think of someone and we send out that negative connotation or thought or whatever it is, we're not helping ourselves, and we're certainly not helping them. And it drives me crazy listening to politics in general because it's so negatively driven. And it's always focusing on what others can't do, and they're never telling you what they can do. And I want to hear what you can do. And I want to know more of the positive impact you're going to make rather than blast all the negativity across the world. So using Ho'oponopono is to really come in and to ask for forgiveness, that you are saying, I am sorry, that please forgive me, that you're apologizing, you're asking for this forgiveness, you are sending love, and you are sending gratitude by saying, I love you and thank you. And the more that we do this, the more you also begin to shift, because nobody wants bad karma. I don't want to come back in this lifetime and have to relive and do the same thing again and again because I created bad karma. And so the more that we can forgive ourselves, first and foremost, when you have the negative thought that, oh, I want this, and then suddenly you're telling yourself you can't have it, would you ever say that to somebody else? And even if you would or wouldn't, we need to be doing Ho'oponopono to bring back the love and to really connect to ourselves, to prove to ourselves, to tell ourselves that we're loved, that we are filled with gratitude, and that we are going to rewrite this aspect of courage and the karma and rewrite it and help ourselves. And the more we do this, then the more we're shifting our thoughts and our feelings and our actions when we're out in the world. So even when we see people and we think a bad thought, oh, I don't like their hair. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Right? That we're starting to take back that responsibility instead of being cowardly and projecting out things that we see in others that we don't quite see in ourselves. We don't see the courage they have, right? And we want more of that courage. This is a great hack to just continue to keep your vibration at a higher level and to really help yourself. And I love doing this, and I love teaching my kids to do this, right? Because sometimes it just helps quiet the mind. And there's meditations and things you can listen to where they kind of just keep repeating it. And if you need to listen to it or tell yourself over and over, then this will help you. So I like saying fear stands for feel excited, alert, ready, right? Because that's really what it's helping us to do, to start to feel the excitement, to be alert to changes, to whatever's coming up, right? And that we're ready. We're ready to move. We're ready to be in action. We're ready to enjoy life, or whatever that looks like. That fear isn't about holding you back and keeping you down, but it's about raising you up and building up your courage. So just to recap, the 3 keys that I talked about today for building up your courage. Number 1, assess your courage. Number 2, know what gets in the way. And then number 3, choose your courageous story that you get to rewrite to put you in a different place. I want to invite you to join my Courage to Thrive program that starts March 25th. And this is a program where I'm super excited to not only be a coach and have this be very much impactfully a coaching program where for 10 classes over 8 weeks, we're meeting for 90 minutes once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending on the flow of the energies as these earth activations are occurring. Because what I know is I can teach you this and have you start doing some hacks or learning some of these pieces to assess yourself. But when you get the support as you're feeling it, it's so much more powerful. And I want you manifesting more of what you want. I want you opening yourself up to these possibilities and realizing that you can have them. And that the coaching support is literally there for you to be seen and heard and to be communicating and engaging within this intimate community that you're getting the support you need as you're growing. So raising your courage is a big intention of this program, but for you to get the guidance you need. And being the projector, and I love coaching and guiding, this is like my favorite thing to do, is just connect with people and be able to put you in a position where I get to see you and send you love and kisses and give you the support that you need and keep you focused on manifesting. Because like I said, this is a 4-year, manifesting is huge. So what is it you want? And what is it that you want to aim towards? And to build the courage to continue to get you there. So you can go to prosperityalignment.com/thrive to learn more. But the main intention is this is a group coaching program. This isn't one where you're going to get to sit back and you won't get airtime. Every call, I want you to be heard. I will be calling on you. I will be asking what is coming up. Where are you challenged? What are you struggling with? Where do you need support? Because I want you to succeed. So I'm limiting this to only 15 participants because I need to keep an integrity, and I love having intimate group coaching. But if I know that you need support, I need you to get the support, and I can't have a program that's too big. So that's the muscle tested 15 participants. That feels good to me, and I know we can really engage each week. So to give you a little bit more background, I am recording the modules, right? The class, because what I've learned when I've run this before, I can teach and talk and eat up a lot of time. And so I've cut that out. So 90 minutes of coaching time is what you guys get for 15 people each week. So between March 25th and May 15th, we are meeting on Wednesday mornings, my time, I'm Pacific time, 9 a.m. to 10:30, 90-minute call. And then there's 2 additional Fridays. So we are going to be meeting at the same time, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. 2 additional Fridays, so we coincide and every class meets at least once through these 7 courage gates and during the 3 knowing gates. Because I'm not going to just take you through the fear and the courage gates without also impressing upon you the individuality of the person that you are, the individual that knows things and has breakthroughs and needs support and knows how to manifest. We're going to go through those gates as well. All of the coaching calls are via Zoom. They will be recorded. Even if you can't attend a coaching call live, I will want you, and I've had people do this, still email me. Tell me where you are, and I can address it in the call. So I can still give you the support and still recognize you while we're going through the call, whether you're there live or not. So this is about building courage and transforming you and to get you focused. So the investment for this program is $444. There is a 3-part payment plan of $148 per month. I am here to teach value, and what I know is I hold my value and then I give extra. So the value and the investment is $444 and the payment plan is $148. There is no interest. I am not a bank. I don't like how our banking system works. So to instill more love and understand and teach value, right? This is what feels good for me. When you choose to say yes and you jump in and join the program and I say courageously leap because we have a leap year. So by the end of this month, so Saturday, February 29th, when you commit, then I'm going to give you additional value, right? You're in the program, you're going to get your coaching. And on top of that, you're going to get additional value worth $358. And that includes more, something didn't change here. There's healing. I'm going to give you a courage essential oil blend, and I'm going to have that mailed to you. I'm also going to give you a coupon, $37 coupon that can be used towards a program. And there is a program that you could get, so you could just get it for free. It has to do with money. It's called Financially Centered. And then there's a support call, a 60-minute live call on March 4th. So before the program starts, so we can get together and I can already find out a little bit more about you. You'll get access to a meditation and a questionnaire. So that way we can already start integrating and building you up to feel the courage before the program starts. And here's the thing. I went skydiving in a 4-year, when I think about it, in 2011. And when I got to watch the video, there was no fear. Like, I was so excited to skydive. So really, I want you to come feel the courage that's within, to get the support that you need, to really step into manifesting more of what you want this year, to build your courage, to receive the support. If this is the program for you, I would love to be supporting you for the 8 weeks that we're together. And I'm so grateful. I hope you guys got some value and learned some things about yourself and about courage. And I just want to wish you a blessed 2020 and have a wonderful weekend. So thank you so much. Mwah. And I hope to talk to you soon. Bye.